It is so good to hear our president's voice. Joe, I know you're still on the call, and we've been talking every day. You guys heard it from Doug's voice. We love Joe and Jill. We really do. They truly are like family to us. And we do. Everybody here does.
It's
Everybody
mutual.
here. I knew you were still there. You're not going anywhere, Joe.
I'm watching you, kid. I'm watching you, kid. I love you.
I love you, Joe.
This is my video update on this Tuesday, midday, July the 23rd. Let's talk about some news. And we've got proof of life. Proof of life. Biden has resurfaced. Kind of. He's kind of resurfaced. There are reports saying that Biden, I believe this afternoon, will be back to work. But what we did get is a Biden phone call to the Biden-Harris campaign headquarters, which I guess now is the Harris campaign headquarters. I don't know. But Biden, he called in to the headquarters. And this was not AI. No chance that this was AI. No chance that this was artificial intelligent, deep fake, cheap fake, none of that stuff. This was the real Biden. You could tell because during the phone call, Biden sounded very, very energetic, very vibrant. This was the Biden that we all know and love. The energetic, vibrant, tough, go get him attitude, Biden. Not AI, not AI. Anyway, Kamala Harris was speaking to everyone at the headquarters, the campaign headquarters, and yeah, Biden decided to call in just to prove that he is alive and well and feeling better than ever. Harris during the call. It's crazy stuff. It's just crazy stuff. During the call, she was about to say recording. At least, is this my imagination? Because I could swear that as Harris was saying, Joe, it's so nice of you to, or it's so nice to hear your recording. She was going to say recording, but then she said phone call or voice. I forgot exactly how the conversation between Biden and Harris went, but she was about to say recording. This is not my imagination. So we have proof of life. Yes, we do, but it looks like it's Harris. It really does look like Harris is going to be the Democratic Party nominee, and she just may very well be the president, because we are getting reports which claim that Biden is actually transferring power to various departments. The Department of State, the Department of Treasury. It looks like we are seeing a slow transfer of power from Biden to others. And there are reports that Kamala Harris is in Delaware or is on her way to Delaware to meet with Biden before they go back together to Washington, D.C. I don't know. I'm not sure how the itinerary is set up and how all of this is going to play out, but something might be cooking. We may be seeing the transfer of power from Biden to Kamala, from Biden to various departments in the government, and eventually Biden might step down as president of the United States. We'll see. Biden insists that he's not going anywhere. That is what he told everyone at the campaign headquarters. he is going to campaign, he said, for Kamala Harris. That is what he said. He's going to be on the road campaigning. Oh my God. Unbelievable. So Pelosi endorsed Kamala Harris. That happened yesterday as well. And I think it was either Axios or ABC News or NBC News or all of them, all of them that reported that Pelosi, she was one of the top Democratic Party officials who was pushing for Biden to step down. Pelosi and Obama, but a lot of reports about how Pelosi worked really hard behind the scenes to finally get Biden to step down from campaigning. From campaigning. He's still the president, but he's not the candidate, thanks to Nancy Pelosi. But Nancy Pelosi, she is endorsing Kamala Harris now. So the only one left is Obama. That's the way it looks. Bloomberg didn't endorse Kamala Harris, actually. I don't know how important that is. That Bloomberg does not endorse Kamala Harris, not that important. But Obama is the final, from what I understand, the final top Democrat Party official who has not endorsed Kamala. He supports Kamala, hasn't endorsed her. Kamala Harris' campaign did raise a record $80 billion in 24 hours. $80 billion. That just shows the level of excitement for a Kamala campaign and presidency, huh? $80 billion. I think that's a record. Now keep in mind that the Biden campaign has $95 billion in its coffers. And the Washington Post was reporting that, according to Republicans, that money cannot be transferred to Harris, at least not until after the convention, because that money was pledged to Joe Biden. And after the convention, they can make the legal argument that the money can now be transferred to Kamala Harris. It was given to the Biden campaign, but it's not official that Biden was going to be the nominee for the Democratic Party, Biden-Harris. And so after the convention, when it becomes official that Harris is going to replace Biden as the nominee, according to some of the legal experts that the Washington Post interviewed, then the money can be transferred to Harris. But right now, the Republicans are saying that $95 billion that's in the Biden campaign coffers has to stay put until after the convention. So I wonder if the $80 billion is from the $95 billion that was sitting in the Biden campaign accounts. I don't know. Or if this is a new $80 billion that was donated to Kamala Harris, because the word is that the $80 billion, much of it is from first-time donors and small donations. I don't know. I can't bring myself to believe that there's so many people in the United States that are this excited about a Kamala Harris campaign and presidency. I just don't buy it. But I don't know, maybe everyone is really excited about Kamala Harris 2024. And she is vetting possible VP choices. Let's see, we have Cooper from North Carolina, Kelly from Arizona, Shapiro, Pennsylvania, Whitmer, Michigan, Walsh, Minnesota, Pritzker, Illinois, Bashar from Kentucky. This is according to the Wall Street Journal. That's Kamala's short list of VP candidates. The Associated Press is reporting that Kamala Harris has secured 1,976 delegates, or at least the polling shows that she will secure 1,976 delegates, more than enough to seal the deal for her to become the Democratic Party nominee. It's Kamala. It's Kamala Harris, at least until the convention. If her numbers are not doing so well, then maybe at the convention they might swap her out, but I don't think so. I just don't see that happening. So Newsweek put out an interesting article with the title, Kamala Harris says she knows Trump's type. Kamala Harris knows Trump's type. Predators who abused women. This is an interesting article from Newsweek. You know, as many of you know, before I was elected as vice president, before I was elected as United States Senator, I was the elected Attorney General of California. As I've mentioned before, that I was a courtroom prosecutor. In those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. As the room erupted into laughter and cheers, Harris continued. Predators who abuse women, fraudsters who rip off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say I know Donald Trump's type. Why is this an interesting article from Newsweek? Because this hints at what the Harris campaign and what the Democrats are gonna run with until November 2024. This gives the campaign game plan away. They're going to stick with Harris. I believe they're going to stick with Harris. I may be proven wrong, but they're going to stick with Harris, and they are going to focus on the identity politics. And because Harris is a prosecutor, and now Trump is he's a convicted felon, or whatever he is. I don't even know what he is. Whatever. He's got all these court cases and indictments. Some of them have been dropped. Other indictments, other court cases he has won, other court cases he has lost. I don't know. I can't keep track of all of it. But anyway, they're going to play that card. The tough California prosecutor, Kamala Harris, against the felon Trump. Yeah. That's what they're going to run with, no doubt. Is it going to work? I have no idea. I really have no idea. They've got 4 months to put this narrative in place. But I think that's another reason why they want to stick with Harris. That whole prosecutor, California prosecutor, going up against the New York real estate convicted predator. You know, why talk about policy and economics and track record as the border czar? She was the border czar, Kamala Harris. Why talk about that stuff? Why talk about Biden? Why talk about the lies over the past 3 years, hiding Biden's cognitive ability or lack of cognitive ability? Why focus on that? Why talk about that? Let's focus on the prosecutor versus the felon narrative. So let's now discuss, I think I've covered everything going on with Biden and Harris, at least for today. By the time I publish this video, I'm sure we're going to get a lot more news. But let's talk Germany. Let's talk German isolation. That's what we're going to talk about. Germany is feeling isolated, according to the Financial Times. They put out an article with the title, Isolated Germany Fears a Second Trump Term. Isolated Germany. Poor Germany. Isolated and alone. Poor Pirate Schultz. Alone at sea. Alone at sea, Pirate Schultz. Arg, I feel isolated. Yeah, they're afraid of Trump. I thought it was Russia that was isolated. Weren't they telling us for the past 3 years that Russia's isolated? Now it's Germany? Germany's really the one that's isolated? Wow. It's quite a shift in narrative, isn't it? It was Russia that was supposed to be isolated, but now it's going to be Germany. No more gas pipelines, no more cheap energy, and no more United States of America. That is what Germany is afraid of. Because, according to the Financial Times, if Trump becomes president, then the fear in Germany is that the United States is going to pull away from Europe, pull away from NATO, pull away from Ukraine, and leave Germany all alone. Germany's going to be all alone. Schultz, Baerbock, Habeck, what are they to do without the United States of America? How are they going to survive? How are they going to live without the United States of America? That is the big question. And Germany is even putting together a task force. That's right, a Trump task force in preparation for a Trump presidency. That's how freaked out they are. And they were telling us that Russia was isolated. That's what they were telling us. It's Germany that is feeling isolated. All of them feels. All of them feelings. Feelings. Nothing more than feelings. Oh boy, what a beautiful church. What a magnificent, beautiful church. So Ukraine has reached a deal on its debt restructuring. Ukraine was facing a default on the 1st of August, and they have come to an agreement with the companies that were dumb enough to loan Ukraine money, BlackRock and PIMCO and all of these companies that decided to give money to Ukraine in the hopes that Ukraine would win the conflict against Russia, there would be regime change in Russia, and they would become fabulously wealthy. We're talking super uber wealthy, because they would have not only all of Ukraine's resources, but they would have all of Russia's resources. That's what they were betting on, and they bet poorly. Boy, did they bet poorly. So the deal is that the creditors wanted they would go up to 22% of a haircut. Ukraine was pushing for 60%. They agreed to 37%. I think I mentioned in videos in the past when I talked about this story that they would come to some sort of an agreement. They're not going to let Ukraine default. The collective West. Whatever remains of the Biden White House, the establishment was not going to let Ukraine default. And sure enough, they have come to an understanding. 37%, I believe, is the agreement. Still, it's a lot of money. I think I read it was they're going to lose something like 8 or 9 billion. That's going to be the loss for BlackRock and PIMCO and all of these other institutional investors dumb enough to loan the Zelensky regime money. In a filing with the London Stock Exchange, the Ukrainian government said it had reached agreement in principle on a debt restructuring. The deal will see creditors, a group that includes BlackRock, PIMCO, and other investors, write billions off the nominal value of their holdings and agree to a new payment schedule on terms more beneficial to Kiev. We are on the path of restoring debt sustainability, said Prime Minister My Precious Schmiegel in a Twitter X post. This allows us to free up resources for our defense, social spending, and reconstruction, he added. Yeah, the money's been lost. The money's been stolen. The money's disappeared. All the money loaned to Ukraine is gone. Vanished. What were the investors to do? What were they going to do? They're screwed. The conflict in Ukraine is also going very bad for the Zelensky regime. Even Bild reporter and super duper Ukraine enthusiast, Ukraine supporter, Julian Rupke, he posted on X, the Ukrainian army lost 6 villages and more than 40 square kilometers over the past week. Does anybody have an idea how Kiev will slow down the pace of losing the country to the Russians? And the Twitter X account of Yaroman replied to this post saying, "Who will tell him?" ? Who will tell him? Who is going to tell Bild and Germany and the collective West and Julian Rupke that there is no way for Ukraine to win? They're not winning. Every day things get worse and worse. More and more villages fall to the Russians, and there are no wonder weapons that are going to prevent a Russian victory. So that's the Ukraine update, kind of. That's kind of the Ukraine update. We also have this dispute between Hungary and Ukraine. And it looks like Ukraine has cut off the flow of Russian crude oil to Hungary and also to Slovakia. So the European Union, they sanctioned Russian oil into the EU, but Hungary and Slovakia, they got an exemption from these sanctions of the transit of Russian oil into the European Union. And now we are getting reports, and the oil transits through Ukraine to Hungary and to Slovakia. And keep in mind that Ukraine gets a transit fee for delivering the oil to Hungary and Slovakia. So Ukraine actually profits from the transit of oil to these EU member states. But now we are getting reports that Ukraine has decided to cut off the transit of Russian crude to Hungary and to Slovakia. And Hungary is plenty mad about this action that Ukraine has taken. And the foreign minister of Hungary, Peter Szijjártó, he is taking this issue to the European Commission, to the EC and the office of Ursula von der Leyen, and he said that the EC will have 3 days to resolve this situation, where you have a country that wants to get into the European Union deliberately blocking the transit of crude oil to an EU member state, to 2 EU member states. And Peter Szijjártó, he wants Ursula and the EC to resolve this in 3 days. If this is not resolved in 3 days, then according to the Hungarian foreign minister, he will take this to the courts. And eventually, if this is not resolved, then this may jeopardize Ukraine's bid to enter the European Union or something like that. But many analysts are saying that what Hungary should really do is that they should cut off the supply of electricity to Ukraine, because you see, as Ukraine was sending oil, was letting oil transit over Ukraine to Hungary, Hungary was exporting electricity to Ukraine. Hungary was sending electricity to Ukraine. And what Hungary should do is they should say, okay, you want to cut off oil that's coming to Hungary? Fine. We're going to cut off, or we're just going to stop. We're going to stop sending you electricity. That's something that Hungary could do. But it looks like at the moment, that's not what Hungary is going to do. They are going to take this to the EC, to the European Commission, and then to the courts. I think the EC, if I had to take a guess, my guess would be that the European Union and Ursula, this is just a guess, they put Ukraine up to this. I mean, Ukraine was fine to do this because they despise Hungary. But I think the European Union actually nudged Ukraine into doing this so that they can punish Hungary for their shuttle diplomacy. Viktor Orban meeting with Putin, traveling to Moscow, meeting with Xi Jinping, traveling to China, and then ultimately meeting with Trump in the United States. And I think this is another form of punishment from the European Union to Hungary, but that's just a guess. That is just a guess. This could be Ukraine acting fully on its own. But if I had to take a guess, I don't think that's what happened. My guess is that the European Union told Ukraine, if you stop the oil to Hungary, we don't have a problem with that. We're going to look the other way. I think they probably said something like that. And so Ukraine said, great, we'll do it. We will do it. And the Ukrainian lawmaker, Inna Sovstin, she suggested to Politico that the embargo of oil to Hungary has a secondary purpose, to pressure Hungary. Quote, we have really tried all the diplomatic solutions and they never worked, said Sovstin. So it seems like we have to find some other approaches in how to talk to them. An admission that what this is really about is putting pressure and trying to punish Hungary for trying to find a ceasefire solution to the conflict in Ukraine. We'll see what's going to happen with this. Eventually, Hungary, if they can't find a resolution, eventually they're going to have to play hardball. And they're going to have to cut the electricity supplies that they're sending to Ukraine. That's my take on it. But maybe this will be resolved in the courts. We will see. Should we do some clown worlds, or do we have some more news? Netanyahu is in the United States today. I'm not sure when he's speaking to Congress. I think tomorrow he speaks to Congress. But he's in the U.S., and there are reports that he wants to see Trump. He wants to get a meeting with Donald Trump, and so far we don't have any word as to whether Trump has agreed to meet with Netanyahu. Now, when Trump was president, they got along. They got along very well, but after 2020, Netanyahu, he said some very bad things about Trump, and Trump got upset, and they had a falling out. And now Netanyahu, realizing that Trump will most likely be the president of the United States, he is trying to get back in Trump's good graces. So we'll see what happens there. There are reports saying that Netanyahu is going to push members of Congress to escalate a conflict with Iran. That is what various collective West mainstream media outlets are saying. We will see. He is going to address Congress, I believe, tomorrow. And actually, I read I read somewhere that Kamala Harris is not going to attend this speech from Netanyahu, which is interesting. So let's do should we do some clown worlds and wrap this video up? So the New European, they put out an article with the title, "The Bullet Hit Trump, but It Killed Joe Biden." Interesting title from the New European. And finally, Politico, they put out an article with the title, "Russia's New Punching Bag, Kamala Harris. While the Kremlin is playing it cool, its army of propagandists is rolling out its full racist and sexist arsenal." And this article from Politico talks about how Russian-speaking, Russian language news channels are talking about Kamala Harris and making fun of Kamala Harris and all of these things. It's all Russia's fault. It's all Russia's. Blame it on Russia. Even though Kamala Harris is not 100% the candidate, she will be, but it's not 100%. They're already starting to blame Russia. But you see the angle that they're using? They say the sexual or the sexist, what do they say? The sexist, they're using the racist and sexist arsenal. That is what the Russian propagandists are going with. And that is, just to wrap up the video and bring everything full circle, that is what they're going to throw on Trump as well. That's what they're going to run Kamala Harris on against Trump. The Kamala Harris campaign is not going to be about policy or economics or the border or any of that. It can't be about the border because she was the border czar, so they're not going to talk about that. They're not going to talk about Biden. It is going to be all identity politics, race, sex, all of these things. And they're going to focus on the Trump indictments and court cases. So yeah, that clown world, that political article kind of brings everything full circle. That's the video, theduran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and Twitter X. And go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch, like the t-shirt that I'm wearing today. The link is in the description box down below. Take care.